Silent Hill has been so good to me these past few days. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 25 of the Differently Wired Show. It's good to be with you all again. My name is Maximilian Danger Derrat. Good to be with you all again. Oh, wait. You guys can't hear me?
I think we can now.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened there. Anyways, my name is Maximilian Danger Derrat, and joining me as always, sitting to my immediate left, right, center, I don't know, it sounds like he's everywhere in my headphones. I got these 7.1 surround sound headphones, so it's like I'm at the movie theater. He is John Tucker. John, what's happening?
Good evening, Max. I'm enjoying the weather and enjoying the show already.
You're enjoying the weather? It's so goddamn hot outside today. Well, maybe not where
it's
you are.
Great.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
it's just right.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. See, my dad, he's been complaining about it, understandably so. He's got hair coverage like Robin Williams. Oh, by the way, Joel, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. Joel sent in a $2 super chat. He just wanted to remind us of that old meme, John Tucker.
Joel Wiss.
Joel Wiss. Yeah. I'm surprised that joke stuck. I don't know why, but hey. As long as you guys are in good spirits. Before we get started, I'm in good spirits. Two reasons why. One, if you guys haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, you guys should go see it. I saw it today. Really enjoyed it. It made me very happy, especially because Spider-Man is my favorite comic book character, and seeing him done justice makes me really happy. And also, stick around for the mid-credit scene, because, oh man, that made me happy. And second of all, obviously, I've seen a lot of great support from the people that watch my channel, watch the show the past couple of weeks. I'm very grateful for that. But I'm also grateful because the YouTube algorithm seems to have given me a break the past couple of days. Passed around one of my Silent Hill videos, the one that I did on Pyramid Head. And John's probably like, what's a Pyramid Head?
This is like Edward Scissorhands.
Surprisingly, you're not that far off.
Good Lord.
I'll have to tell you.
I'm worried.
You should be. Pyramid Head is kind of a freaky guy. Anyways, what was I saying before you said Edward Scissorhands? Oh yeah, the Silent Hill Pyramid Head video that I did got passed around to a bunch of people, and over the past couple of days, I've gotten like upwards of 300 plus subscribers, something like that. So thanks so much for everybody that's been sharing it around. And I also put up a new Silent Hill video today, so good timing for that. And check that out if you haven't. Anyways, that's why I'm in a good mood. Let's keep the good spirits going. But obviously, first of all, I got to do the usual crap. Hold on. Why does this look? Forgive me. Let me get this done properly. Actually, first of all, let me just see what you guys are talking about in the chat. Why does it say live chat is unavailable? Because I could see you people talking in there. My bad. I guess I'll have to get that fixed. Technical difficulties. Facebook page. If you haven't liked it already, why not? I know some of you have Facebook, and I know some of you haven't liked it. I know. I'm watching you. I know. I was going to say, jokingly, that I know which of you haven't liked the Facebook page, but that'd be creepy. No, I'm kidding. I actually don't. Just go like it. Don't even think about it. And second of all, Discord server, gotten a lot of people joining the past few days. We're upwards at, I think, almost 450, which is pretty damn good. Go join there if you haven't already. If you can go there if you watch primarily my video game videos or my movie videos or the videos that I do on autism and mental health. It's a great community there. People who watch those separate videos, they all go there and they all seem to be having a good time. And those who go there for the mental health stuff, it's a great supportive community. Just go join. There's a link in the description box below if you haven't joined already. With that out of the way, let's go on to our main topic today. This one was suggested to us by Zack Attack on the Discord server. And so this is actually a really interesting topic. I'm surprised we haven't really given it specific attention. I mean, we sort of addressed something like it in past episodes when we've talked about social awkwardness. But it's something that's especially, well, it can be a problem, but it's also something that we find that is necessary to do for us to get along in our lives. Now, this normally happens well, it doesn't normally happen. It happens primarily for people that are on the spectrum, but it can also happen to people that just have different mental health diagnoses. Um, while I get a sip of this water, because I feel like I'm about to cough, John, do you want to explain to people what masking is? Excuse me.
Well, masking is hiding your autism. For example, if you can't, if you have trouble looking at somebody in the eyes, you look somewhere close to their eyes. You look at their forehead or between their eyes. So it gives the appearance of you're looking at them, giving eye contact. You're not really, um, but you're looking like you are. So what you're doing is you're going through the world, watching what seems to be like normal stuff, and you're sort of play acting that way. You're masking how you really feel, and it's a two-edged sword. It gets you through stuff, but it comes as a price as well.
Mm. Yeah, see, I had a bit of a struggle figuring out how to approach this topic today because, on the one hand, like I said, it's something that we sort of necessarily had to do, and it's not just like what I mean is, controlling your behavior in order to be able to play the societal game, as it were. It's not something that's limited to people on the autism spectrum. It's something that
No.
everybody has to does, but
Yep.
it's it's kind of tough for people that are on the spectrum or have mental health problems because they're more likely to think that, oh well, this is the way that I am, and people have to learn how to accept that, and the fact that they don't accept it is terrible, and as a result, they find themselves not being able to integrate well. So, hold on, I got some notes on this that I took before the show. So, there are two parts to our identity, right? We have an individual identity and we have a collective identity. An individual identity is obviously, the things that make you different from everybody else. So, like, one person might like, I don't know, cars and video games. Another person might like hanging around other people, right? And then there's the collective identity, and the collective identity is sort of the things that we all share in common. One thing might be like your nationality. Maybe you inhabit the same country or province or state, or maybe you share certain social conventions. Like if you live in the Western Hemisphere, you might shake people's hands when you meet them, or if you live in a place like Japan, you might bow when you meet them, right? So there's those two different parts of our identity. Now, in order for a society to be able to come together and function in a civil way, you have to sort of make certain sacrifices to your individual identity and to enable to be able to survive emotionally as well as physically. But hopefully that the desire to survive physically is something that you don't really have to think about very often. But we have to survive emotionally every day. Now, people will, if you're not on the spectrum or you don't have any mental health problems, ways that you might compromise your individual identity in order to fit in is by maybe learning how to talk about certain subjects that people are interested in. So, for example, if you wanted to talk about TV shows, you might talk about, or might want to participate in common conversation by watching a show like Game of Thrones, because that's very popular, instead of talking about like a show that came out in the 50s or something that you're more interested in, right? That's just one thing. Also, like I said before, there's the common social conventions. You shake people's hands when you meet them. You say, hi, nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you, all that sort of stuff. And if you don't do that, people think that there's something odd about you, right? And people that are neurotypical do this, and they don't really tend to think about it. It's sort of just, it's a reflex, a mental social reflex, right? Whereas with people on the autism spectrum, they have a hard time learning how to compromise their individual identity because, they've found their efforts in the past to fit in haven't worked out that well. So they spend a lot of their time being introverted and working on things that are of interest to them. And as a result, any further attempts to try and embrace your collective identity, a healthy collective identity, seem to be in vain, right? So sometimes it can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing, and sometimes you do it. Like sometimes people that are on the autism spectrum do it and they don't really think about it, which is good. If you developed enough of a capacity where you can walk up to somebody, shake their hands, and engage in like a 1-minute small talk conversation, people on the spectrum can do that, and that's not really a problem. But other times, like you might do something where, like I can remember this one time I was going to see the Smashing Pumpkins back in 2016, great concert, and I had to go pick up the tickets from a friend of mine, and she was at a restaurant with her friends about half an hour before the show, and I just started talking to this one guy that was sitting right beside me, and I thought we were having a good conversation, right? I thought everything was going pretty well, and I was kind of proud of myself. But right when I had to go and I had to say goodbye and said, "It was nice talking to you," the guy leaned over to me and said, "It's really a good thing if you look people in the eye when you talk to them." And then I said, "I have Asperger's." And then I'm guessing he didn't know what Asperger's was. And he's like, I'm really glad that you feel open to talk to me about that. But he said it in a way where it's like I think he didn't know what I was talking about. I just said, I have Asperger's. And anyways, it kind of, unfortunately, had a negative impact on my night, which was too bad because, the Smashing Pumpkins are my religion. So that's one negative example of it. So now, John, like, what I'm saying here, like there are positive ways to go about it and negative ways to go about it. Does that seem right to you? Do you think that more people that are differently wired should not try to compromise their identity?
You have to be a bit practical about it. If you're in a situation where you need to communicate with somebody who may not be sensitive, you may have to just say what you need to say. But it's another aspect of this that's important, I think, is for folks that are differently wired to find out as much as they can about their wiring and what the research says about their wiring. For instance, one of the articles that I read, which is called Speech Discrimination Difficulties in High Functioning Autism Spectrum Disorder, is about auditory hypersensitivity.
Yeah.
It's really hard to distinguish what's going on because you're hearing so much. You're not only hearing the words, you're hearing the tone. Even though you don't pick up the cues that are intended, you're getting certain kinds of cue messages. So you can be overwhelmed with stimulating stuff, and it's hard to get the actual message. It's hard to actually pick it out. That's just a mechanical problem. So that's one whole aspect that is challenging if you're on the spectrum. And by the way, that happens with ADHD and ASD as well if you have problems with attention. So these authors of this particular study conclude that the problem is attentional rather than perceptual. Folks that are differently wired can be bright and receive lots of messages, but too many of them, and they're mixed up. So their attention to detail, which one matters, can be lost. Part of it has to do with the brain and how the brain architecture is. If you are neurotypical, you can say, well, I've got this, prefrontal cortex. This is my modern brain. I got my mammalian brain here in the back middle, and I've got this reptile brain, which responds, keeps me breathing, which helps me from running away. Well, if you've been constantly challenged all your life, you're kind of in fight or flight response almost all the time, maybe in some cases all the time.
Yeah.
So this hyper attention to the kind of emotional and below response means you can't really hear clearly cognitively because you're kind of watching for danger.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So in a way, the stress can hijack your ordinary cognitive functions, which of course impacts on your perception as well. So that's masking kind of interferes with that clear communication, and in some ways you can't help. You got to mask or you won't survive.
Yeah.
But it's nice to pick away at the mask as much as possible, I think.
That's a really interesting intricacy that you brought up there, where people, they sort of have to mask as a way to survive because they grew up having these sensitivities, and as a result, they do it just to get along, even if they don't like doing it. So trying to find sort of that balance between things that you can't control, like your sensitivity, and what you can control, like maybe the way that you present yourself when you meet somebody. There's a difference between the two of those. Maybe you can present them as opposite ends of a difficulty spectrum, because saying, hi, nice to meet you, is something that's relatively easy to learn, whereas learning how to control how you physiologically and mentally react to your surroundings, that's a lot more difficult. And
Sure.
trying to distinguish between all those is a real challenge, at least, speaking from my own personal
Well,
experience.
our listeners vary quite a lot in their social engagement. We have folks that listen from quiet, small, hidden places, and folks that are out and about and more or less doing fine, and everywhere in between. So I think when you find yourself staying out of social situations because of the difficulty in maintaining the mask or difficulty handling the hypersensitivity, you need to kind of change the formula a little. So, for instance, if you're shy, do you want to go to a big party downtown where you have to meet a lot of people? No, but you may be able to go to an event where it's a smaller group. It's a meetup group of 4 or 5 people that you kind of know that share issues with you. So you can in a way mechanically improve on your ability to engage socially just by being gracious with yourself and helping create situations that are okay for you
Yeah,
and not too threatening, you know?
yeah, it's an incremental process, and unfortunately, it takes a lot of introspection to figure out, things that you can do and things that you can't do, and being able to live
Sure.
with yourself when you realize, this is all that I can do, and I've done as much as I can. But hopefully, by building up this community and trying to get the word out there, people can be more at peace once they attempt that process. Now, speaking of the intricacies of, being differently wired and, figuring out what's in your control and what's not, I'd like to make a segue quickly, even though it's not really a segue because I said that it's a segue out loud, to one of our mailbag questions. Now, first of all, for those of you who might not be familiar, as we start the mailbag segment, how does this all work? Well, we get email questions from you guys every so often regarding the Differently Wired show or the autism videos that I do, or maybe you got something on that's going on in your life that you might need advice or resources about. Well, we'd love to take your mailbag questions and answer them live on the Differently Wired show. Now, there's one way that you can do it. You can send your emails to us anytime using the email that you see on screen, which is maxderrat@yahoo.ca. Also, sometimes, not it doesn't seem like very many of our users use Twitter that much, but just in case, if you want to ask us a live question towards the end of the show, if anything that's on your mind, we'll see if we can save some time. If there are people that send in Twitter questions, just use the hashtag differentlywired, all one word, on Twitter at any time. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into our very first question. This first question comes to us from Janos Biro. I think I forgot an S at the end of your name, Janos. I apologize for that. If not, then no worries. Janos Biros writes, "Hi. Hello. I'm 38, ASFI, and in 2013 I had a very difficult divorce after what I spent a year with severe depression, not talking to anyone. I found out that outside exercise helped me a lot and also playing some games. That helped me feel useful and interested in making creative stuff. I teach philosophy, sociology, and make games." Oh, cool. Here's my question. Recently, I read an article that says that depression is more about something that happened in your life rather than dysfunction in the brain. What do you think makes some people so capable of dealing with depression without having depression and others don't? Well, thank you very much for the question, Janos. Well, sort of two questions, but that's fine. One thing, John, I forgot to include an article that Janos sent to us in my email question to you, but don't worry, the article came from the Huffington Post, and I guess it's a good
Hmm.
thing that I didn't send it to you because the Huffington Posts are filled with partisan hacks. The Huffington Post is the internet equivalent of ass cancer, as Siobhan Head would say. We know this. It's a scientific study. And for anybody that actually believes it was a scientific study, well, just by me asserting it, well, that's sort of the same journalism that Huffington Post does. They say really, really stupid crap. So anyways, we're not supposed to be negative here. I'm sorry. I have a bad history with the Huffington Post.
Why don't you say what you really mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say what I really mean, but we try to keep this show PG and at maximum PG-13. Where we allow one F word if somebody happens to accidentally say it. Anyways, the reason why I'm saying that the Huffington Post was crap and the article was crap was because they assert that, hey, no, depression isn't a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's this. And the thing that they said it was, well, people can get depressed because they have some form of trauma happen early on in their life, and that affects their ability to live a good life. they carry that around with them, and it affects their ability to live, which is true. But to say that and completely override any other possibilities of, something that causes depression is bush league at its finest. Because here's how depression is a chemical imbalance for people, okay? Imagine everything is going very, very well in your life. You don't have to worry about money. You have a good family, you're well fed, you eat 3 meals a day, you get good sleep, and you still happen to be depressed. And this actually happens. Then that's a chemical imbalance. And, there are other causes for depression too. Maybe it's something that regards to inflammation. I see people that have really bad allergic reactions to food, and that causes them to fall into deep depression where they basically can't get up in the morning, just because they happen to have a sensitivity to dairy. That happens as well. So it's not just the fact that trauma it happens on in early life and that causes people depression. It's a multifaceted issue. But when you, like I said, if you have a publication filled with partisan hacks, all they can offer is one particular point of view and say that all others are stupid. John, obviously you've dealt with a lot of people that are depressed. Have you seen other examples, or can you think of other examples where something happened to somebody that caused them to be depressed?
Yeah, there are many, many such examples. Typically, if a person is raised in an environment where they're misunderstood or pushed around or bossed around,
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of traumatic. And that can cause a depression because nothing you do works. Nothing fits. You feel bad about yourself. You're made to feel bad about yourself. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you like your sister? Why aren't you like your big brother? Why? And you're 14 years old. You don't feel like life is worth living. It's depressing. You're married to someone. Everything is going great. And you're 39. She's 37. And she gets hit by a car. Wow. And she's killed. That's depressing. It can, yeah. Chemical imbalance notwithstanding, the depressions that I usually see are situational. Something goes wrong, people feel depressed, usually because they're focused on some miserable thing that happens to them, or there's something inside them going amiss. So I see a lot of the situational types. People who come to me because they want to climb out of something,
Hmm.
and they see the depression as a result of life circumstances. Now it happens, I'm reading at the moment a book by Pat Ogden, who is the developer of sensorimotor psychotherapy, which is a kind of therapy that a particularly small group of trauma-informed therapists use to help people deal with the impact of developmental PTSD, or develop what they call it, sometimes intergenerational trauma,
Yeah.
where in your very early life something rotten happened, and it caused you to not be able to hear very well or see very well, and you're always like being haunted by these things. It's kind of like what soldiers experience. Anyway, sensory motor psychotherapy came about as a result of folks wanting to deal with uh, folks whose emotions were upset because of these traumas that happened to them. It doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody is impacted by trauma in the same way, and not everybody's effect is from trauma, but there is a lot of it.
Yeah, it's multifaceted, and the reason why we got to bring this to other people's attention is because if you have a particular issue and you say that it's caused by one thing, another person that might be ignorant might say, "Oh, well, I thought depression was caused by this, so you probably don't really have depression. You're just using it as an excuse." Right? By bringing that attention to other people, or bringing that fact to other people's attention, hopefully we can create a more understanding world. We have one more. We had two other questions, but we're gonna have to skip one of them, or so that we will save it for next week, because we have four callers waiting for us later on in the show. So I'm just gonna do this one very quickly, John. The one that was sent specifically for me and how to do a YouTube channel, and then we'll move on. Leanne T writes, Hey Max, hey Leanne. I'm turning 21 this year and I got diagnosed just a couple of weeks ago. I'm considering starting an animated storyteller-ish type of channel to hopefully share my experiences and perspectives. Coming from an Asian family where mental illness is considered non-existent until you have people hounding the parents about the issues that kids are causing, damn. Since I mostly hear from people who are diagnosed as children and have generally supportive families, I'd like to make the people in a similar situation as me feel a bit less alone. Oh, that's wonderful, Leanne. So my question is, what would you consider a general guide to starting a channel? What to expect and steps to take when making a video? P.S. If this is too long of a question to answer and differently wired, I'd still be grateful if you just replied to this email. Best regards. Well, it definitely wasn't long at all. We've had much longer questions than that, Leanne, so thank you. Let me see. First of all, one thing I'd recommend... Well, the most important thing that I recommend to anybody looking to start a YouTube channel is don't expect anything when you're doing it. Just, you have to treat doing a YouTube channel as a hobby. Just do it as something that you do unconsciously. You know, like maybe, this doesn't apply to you, Leanne, because I know, like you just said, that you want to start something with animation. But, you know, if you wanted to start a YouTube channel and you had an interest in political issues or anything that's happening in the news, there are some people out there that just turn on the camera, talk about a news article for 10 minutes, turn it off, and upload it. And they have a lot of success doing it. Just make sure you keep a consistent upload schedule, because YouTube, the way the algorithm works is they seem to reward people that put out more content. Like if you can upload like 1 to 2 videos a day, they tend to reward those people more often, more so than whether or not the actual quality of the video is good, even though the quality of the video is actually really important. Second thing I'd recommend is you need to find a way to stand out from other YouTubers that do what you want to do already. So for example, I do videos on video games from time to time, right? And the way I try to stand out from other people that do videos on video games, because there's enough of those on YouTube, is I try to do deep dives into the hidden meanings behind certain video games. So, for example, I focused on games like Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, Shadow of the Colossus, Inside. All those games are very confusing narratively, and people might come onto YouTube being like, wait, what did I just watch? And I like to provide explanations for them. I seem to do a decent job of it, so I keep doing that. If you're going to do animation, you got to have a certain animation style or a way, you know, in approaching the way that you make your content that can make you stand out from other people. Now, what I recommend also... Sorry, I got something in my throat. Excuse me. One thing I'd recommend, especially this is something that I learned very recently with all the support that I've been giving, is if you're going to do stuff on mental health and autism, reach out to other YouTubers like you, share your videos with them, and get them to promote them. You know, I've seen, there's this one guy that's probably sort of like the king of doing autism-related content on YouTube right now. He goes by the name The Aspie World, I think. I think for some reason I feel like he changed it, but no, I think it's still The Aspie World. He's nearing 100,000 subscribers, and when I've asked him to share my stuff in the past, he was very kind enough to do that. So, yeah, in the past, before I even did autism videos, I've shared my video game videos and my movie videos on Facebook pages where people talk about the same stuff, and that gets you viewers very, very quickly. And if you do a good job, they'll be willing to share it around. Excuse me, guys. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that's just my general advice. If you have any other questions, Leanne, feel free to email us back anytime. Or email me back anytime. But email us back if you have a question related to autism or mental health. Thanks for sending that in. Now, with that all out of the way, we're going to go on to the final segment of our show, which is the call-in segment. We are taking your calls. Now, if you guys are just coming here for the first time and you don't know how the call-in segment works, let me just inform you very quickly. All you have to do is go to my Discord server. There's a link to it in the description box below. Once you get there, here, let me bring up the picture of the Discord server. Once you get there, you'll see a whole bunch of text chats on the left side of your screen. So if you look on the left side of your screen right now, you'll see Arrivals, the Constitution, Video Alerts, Server Alerts. If you go to the very bottom of that list, you'll see a text chat that says Call in Sign Up. Once you click on that, all you have to do is put your name in the text chat, and then by the time that we do the next show, you'll be in the queue to call in and talk to John and I directly. It's as simple as that. with that out of the way, let me actually just hop over to Discord real quickly. And oh, the Diamond Clone's here. Okay. Thanks for being quiet, dude. Uh, he wasn't ready once we started the show. So first of all, let me bring on, who did we say was going first? Oh yeah, Spec. Spec, you're unmuted. How's it going, dude?
Hello. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I'm doing good, dude. Your avatar, what's that from?
It's from an anime called I believe that's called Urusei Yatsura, and I don't know what episode that's from, but oh well.
I feel like my friend Seth talks about that show a lot. He likes anime. I need to watch more anime, especially like a whole bunch of people have been recommending me. What's it called? Evangelion, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't watched it though.
Okay, yeah, I there's a lot of stuff. Forgive me, guys. Forgive me, weebs that are watching right now. And I say weebs affectionately. So, Spec, what do you want to talk about, dude?
One thing that I'd like to talk about honestly is accuracy in language.
Okay.
Like I believe that I have a very big love for accuracy in language. It's because of figuring things out and making them clear. With autism or Asperger's or whatever I have, I'm not diagnosed yet. Uh, the way that it's kind of relates to that is that, well, people talking when they talk, they're not very clear. They imply things, they go around points, and I don't understand that. I don't pick up on it, and thus I want to make things clear.
Yeah, I feel you there, dude. That's why I actually understand what you're talking about because when I talk to people, I don't know. I remember when I was in high school and people would use the most vague terms because they didn't really have a very expansive vocabulary, and they could be speaking
Yeah,
perfect English to me, and I'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Yeah, so I know what you mean.
yeah. Yeah, it's like one thing is that my dad sometimes, and no fault of his own, he doesn't really understand all that much, but he says, "Yep," and I'm just like, "Wait, what intonation is that? I don't know."
Yeah, it's an interesting problem because I've actually had people comment on my YouTube videos saying, "Dude, you speak with the most expansive vocabulary. Can you please tone it down a little bit?" And it's like, well, okay, how do you find
I
that
don't
perfect
know how to take
balance?
that.
Sorry.
I don't know how to take that. Is that good or bad? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to figure out. It's like it's like with everything, you try to find a perfect medium. But how do you find a perfect medium when there are 250,000 words in your language or more? I That's a rough estimate. Forgive me.
That is true.
Yeah.
I absolutely love linguistics, and I just think when people say I like, uh, I forget what I was gonna say. Sorry about
Yeah, yeah, it's okay, dude. I that happens to me during the show more often than you might
that.
think.
Yeah.
So just take your time.
Okay. One thing that I really do love because of accuracy in language is writing, and I'm writing a book right now. It has about 9,000 words, and it's in the document so far. And I think that that's a really good release valve for love of accuracy and
Mm.
not really being able to be accurate in my own language at home.
That's a really good idea. Hey, I don't know how protective you are of your work, but I'd love to read some of it. Like, what are you writing about?
It's a fantasy novel, actually.
Okay, cool.
Just don't share it with the entire world, and I'll be fine.
I promise I won't do that, dude. I would never do that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I sort of see what you mean too. I like with the YouTube videos that I do, like especially with the Silent Hill videos that I've been doing lately, because Silent Hill sort of incorporates all these subjects that fascinate me. What with video games, psychoanalysis, and lately, if you watch my most recent video, alchemy. Believe it or not, I've sort of taken a liking to the history of alchemy.
Ooh.
It's something that I enjoy writing about, and being specific and accurate in trying to present my ideas and argue for certain theories. It can be fun. It can be quite therapeutic. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. The only other thing that I really have to talk about, I don't know how much longer I have, but
You have
oh
a few
well.
minutes.
Um, okay. The only other thing is that I remember at one point in one of your videos, you said, I like writing essays or something along those lines. And, or maybe that I thought that. You said that you write essays basically for fun,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, something like that.
And I realized, oh my gosh, I do too. And I told that to my English teacher. And he was like, really? But honestly, it's not like the essays they have to write for English class. but it's the essays like for my therapist actually. I asked him if he wanted me to write an essay on just some topic to get my words out and to get my thoughts out, and he said sure. And I think that's actually a really good kind of therapy tactic to just write a lot.
It's
I
amazing.
do.
Sorry,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead,
do
John.
too. I've seen that a lot, where when it's troublesome to try to deal with the vagueness and ambiguity of conversations with people around you. In writing, you can focus your entire attention on getting it just exactly the way you want, and you have time. You can stop, start, write again, write more. So, actually,
Yeah,
all across the spectrum, people are taking advantage of writing. It actually is a way of relieving frustration, of gaining
yeah,
clarity, of expressing yourself. It can be wonderful. So,
yeah. And
great stuff.
I think that how much time do I have?
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. I think that I remember my therapist and I actually have an inside joke. Basically, I've been seeing him for like 6 years, so that's developed over the time. And it's about Klondike bars because he got me a Klondike bar one time. So that's like the weirdest thing. But he wanted me to write an essay on Klondike bars. What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Yeah.
And so I was actually listening to that little theme song the entire time while I wrote it.
Oh.
Well, not in my head,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
That would be really repetitive.
yeah. Thanks for putting that in my head, dude. I'm gonna be thinking about that song for the rest of my night.
You're welcome.
What would you do for a Klondike bar? Before I let you go, can you just tell me, like, what are some of your favorite authors?
Oh, well, actually, I actually know one. She's not super famous, but she works at the public library near me,
Okay.
and her name is Erin E. Moulton. And
Erin, spelled Erin.
yes,
Okay.
and she writes kind of middle schoolish books, but they're actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and besides that, my favorite author would probably have to be either H.G. Wells or I can't think of any others, but H.G. Wells is a big one.
Yeah, of course. You know, he's one of the sort of the science fiction staples, so I understand. He's good. Anyways, dude, thank you so much for coming on. You've been an awesome
You're
guest.
welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And please come
All
on
right.
any other time. Okay. And let us know how your writing goes and make sure you send it to me.
I will. I will send it to you.
All right. Peace out, Doug. All right. Moving on. Who do we say is next? That would be Smully. Smully, welcome back, player. What's happening?
Hello, it's good to be back on. So on the issue of masking, it's something that I've been kind of realizing a lot when reading the literature. One of the things that they were talking about in forget what it was Cohen again, but I don't remember the name. I don't remember if it was in the
Hello? Hello? John?
I'm here.
Oh, Smully? Something happened to Smully. You can't hear him either, can you?
No, I guess we should go to the third caller and come back to Smully.
Yeah, Smully.
Uh,
I'll.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay, dude. Oh, do you want to talk now, or do you just want a few minutes?
Was I roboting?
Oh no, you weren't roboting. We just couldn't hear you.
Okay, can we try again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so in the book The Essential Difference by Cohen, he was talking about how women with or females with autism tend to mask a lot more than the males.
Mm.
And I thought it to be an interesting thing because I believe that the things that he described that the it was more often that the females would do, wherein they would just imitate others down to dress and stuff like that is something that I kind of did more so. And some of my earliest memories are of um, sort of the male role models in my life telling me, here's how you look people in the eye and kind of giving me guidance in a way that like um, a lot of people didn't get. So I think that's part of why I've been sort of under the thing. But I remember having to have fashion explained to me by my the rules of what to wear explained to me and lots of things like that up to my teen years. It's very interesting in that regard, and
Yeah.
I think I've done a decent job at it. And with my current job, it's basically all social interactions, and
What do you
had a
do?
host at a restaurant,
Oh, okay.
and I've I kind of know the game, right? But I'm being conscious of it. It's actually kind of a miserable job, but in talking to my boss and my managers, they think I'm doing a great job.
Oh,
But
good.
it takes an incredible amount of effort. It's actually not worth it. I'm gonna look for different employment, but
Well, yeah, you should, dude. Because if you're on the spectrum, being a host, like I remember when I was working, I don't know if you know, like wherever you live, if you've heard of Eastside Mario's. Have you heard of that?
yeah,
It's a chain restaurant. I used to work as a dishwasher there, and some of the stuff that some of the hosts and servers had to deal with was just no, no. So I understand. Um,
well, it's
but
just too hectic. It's a hectic kind of difference. Whereas I can deal with stress of like, here's what I have to do, here's the range, but it's just that anxiety of like
what could
just
happen?
everything being hectic around you. That's very
Yeah,
difficult.
I feel
But
you, dude. You're badass for dealing with that. I just wanted to speak quickly to what you.
go ahead.
Who's got the music going?
It's not I.
John.
I put it off. I put it off. Stop complaining.
That was good. Sorry, that actually made me laugh. Yeah, just very quickly to what you're saying about fashion. I understand what you're saying there, and in fact, it's something. That's good. I what you're saying about fashion, I actually it's something that I've had to deal with even recently in my life. I remember I went to apply to a music store. It's a place called Long McQuaid here in Canada, and I basically got interviewed on the spot. And when I was done, the guy said, "Hey, if you want to make a good impression when you show up for an interview, don't show up wearing a plaid shirt and jeans." And it's like, "What? This is a clean shirt.
That's all. That's all I wear. I meant particularly like don't wear striped pants and like a plaid shirt,
Yeah,
right?
it's yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like I can sort of learn how to do basic social performance things. Like I said at the very beginning, hey, nice to meet you, shake their hand. But when it comes to, what to wear, I mean, as long as you're not naked, yeah, I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean the but the difference there is the masking. I'm just now kind of coming to terms with that. There's probably an issue here. I went to ask at university because I got some assistance, some extended time, but that was just with my high school transcripts. And I asked the fella, I think this is the problem. Is there any sort of help or whatever? And he said that he's transferred other people, and it costs between $300 and $900 where they're sending them unless they have a Pell Grant, and that's kind of depressing that because there's no way I can do that.
Sorry, I sort of missed a crucial part of what you were saying there. Transfer. What do you mean by
It,
transfer?
not transfer, like recommend me, like send me to a specialist to get diagnosed.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, that's a real pain. I'm assuming you live in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I understand where you're coming from there, dude. The
Well,
medical. Sorry, go ahead.
I could do, obviously I could afford to do that if there was going to be that much in benefit. If it was going to benefit me in a way that's as valuable as, $350, but without sort of any evidence of that, it would just be to kind of be reassured that I know that that's what's the issue is,
Mm.
and I'm not sure of that yet. That's
Um,
all.
John, just before we have to let Smully go in a few minutes, I just want to let you jump in on here and see if you can recommend anything in regards to his situation.
What part are you thinking of?
Well, just like his trouble trying to get confirmation about his diagnoses and trying to get support with the masking and the performance and all that.
Um, you're in the U.S. Right, Smalley?
Yes, sir.
Um, you may have to rely on by your family doc to get help in that regard. That way you can avoid some of the you may be able to avoid some of the expenses. Like for instance, if you go to certain kinds of clinics, it'd be several $1,000s to actually get a diagnosis. So you don't want to do that. I would try the family doc route first.
So I could just make an appointment with my general
I would
practitioner.
I would start there and say, look, I think I'm afraid of this, and can we do that? And
Okay.
if your GP is willing, they can do the initial screening. Usually these things, Max knows about this, and
Yeah.
there's an initial screening for ADHD, the ASRS Volume 1.1, Adult ADHD Self-Report Scale, and the Autism 1 Max. I can't recall what it's called, but it's a screening you can do on your own web. You can take information like that to your family doc, or they can do it with you. And they'll say, oh, yeah, it looks like you've got this, that, and the other thing. Then they can make a referral.
I've done the test that Max puts in his comments.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know
What's
what he's referring to, John?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know the tests that I use?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the result of that?
It said that I was very likely. I was 1 point higher than Matt's. I don't remember the exact.
So 38.
Okay. Yeah. I would carry that with me to the GP.
Yes, sir. That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you for the help.
No problem, dude. I hope that, what we provided you with is sort of a decent step forward. I know we're sort of moving fast, but feel free to call us back anytime if you have any other questions, or send us an email,
Thank you, Max.
No problem, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. We love having you on. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on. Who do we have up next? Life Overlord, a new caller. Life, speak up.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Mississippi.
Nice. So what do you want to talk about?
Kind of like masking not only with Asperger's, but with other mental illnesses as well, I think it would be considered masking as well.
Yeah.
So, early on in life, I got mixed diagnosed with ADHD, and turns out later on in life, turns out that I had Asperger's, bipolar, along with some other stuff.
Okay.
And throughout my years, I've been told to, of course, look at people in the face, shake their hand. But I still, with Asperger's, I still don't get some of the jokes. I think I take things too literally. And with my emotions, I numb myself to my emotions a lot of the time. Because what my dad would tell me before in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you want to, what do you mean by what your dad would share?
Like things like you get a cut or you get emotional, and your dad's just like, stop crying and stuff like that. And then says some words that I don't want to repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that from my dad too. Like, often... Yeah, go ahead.
They expect you to be tough, and especially when they don't know that you have certain mental illnesses that actually turns out run in the family. They don't expect you to have those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a tough thing to figure out how to remedy a situation like that, because on the one hand, life can be difficult and you need to be able to develop a thick skin for certain things, but on the other hand, there are times where you can go too far. So, on the one hand, my father, he did wisen me up to the realities of the world in some respects, and prepare me for those things. But at other times, he could just say things that were cruel. Like, I don't know if you or anybody else that's watching this remember in my third Truth About Asperger's video, but my dad, whenever I used to look with a blank look on my face, he'd tell me to wipe that miserable look off my face, right? And that would really hurt because I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything. It's just the fact of the matter is that when my face is blank, it looks like I'm scowling, even though I'm not. And I could be perfectly happy.
Also, talking about that, because I don't feel like I have control over my facial expressions sometimes. Because, like, for example, one time I just happened to be going manic, and I haven't been going manic in a while, and my mom was asking me something, and I happened to smile. So she asked me if I was doing it on purpose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
I've got to ask: is there anybody in your life that is not challenging in that way? An aunt, an uncle, a friend who just allows you to be your comfortable self?
Um, I think I have one person in the family that also has bipolar, but I haven't seen her in a while, and sometimes I don't get along with her.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah, it's very isolating, the situation you're in, and that in itself can be challenging. The fact that you're kind of alone on this stuff, and the people close to you are misreading the expression on your face or the way you're acting. This is pretty tough stuff.
Also, another thing is that apparently, I don't think this is correct, but apparently my dad thinks that you should be able to do your task no problem, and it shouldn't matter if you only got like 4 hours of sleep or less.
It kind of matters. Your sleep matters. Everything matters. Everything in the symphony of your life matters. Every instrument that's playing, everything matters.
Yeah, like
So-
sorry, John, just
Yeah.
to interrupt you for
Go
10
ahead.
seconds here. Just yeah, he's absolutely right. Like for me, for example, I have to have 8 hours of sleep a night. If I if I miss an hour of that, it affects the way that I function for the entire day. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Sure. Also, exercise levels are important. Food is important to you, the right food, the food that helps you. And certainly, what I hear missing in your life is a friendly oasis of somebody who is non judgmental, who's friendly to talk to. You need to find a place where you can kind of not worry about what the expression is on your face.
Yeah, and I have like some of my friends, but they live far away, or I'm not able to see them because they either work or they do, their life is busy.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, you should stay in touch with them through online means, Skype or Zoom or whatever. You should stay in touch with those people, even if they're far away, as opposed to trying to make do with a mediocre relationship of somebody who's face to face.
And there's got to be at least one of them that you can think of where you could talk to them and say, hey, I really need somebody to talk to. This is something that's bothering me. And they'll make the time to do that. People, as terrible as the world might seem if you watch the news every day, what I found out recently is just how generous people can be, especially when it comes to mental illness. So please, reach out to your friends and see if there's anybody that would be willing to hear you out on some of this stuff. Or, God forbid, I highly doubt that this would happen if, you can't really get a hold of any of them. You're in my Discord server. There are tons of people here that will listen to anything that you had to say. Like a couple weeks ago, I think it was Dave Barker that said that he's had trouble, talking to other people or getting people to want to talk to him. And after the show was done, the 3 other people that were a part of the call-in section actually stayed after and talked to him just to hear him out, just to hear what was on his mind, just to make him feel like he wasn't alone.
That's a perfect idea.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while we're still talking, one of the things that my relative that also has bipolar mentioned before is there's this place where it's kind of like it's a big, huge, giant, kind of like a college thing, but it's for people with different forms of autism.
Okay. Sorry, is this this thing that you're talking about? Is it an online thing or is it a thing in real life?
No, it's like a group home, but they take you places sometimes, so you're not located just in one area.
Oh, that's really cool. Hey, you found that out on your own?
Found found that out with my dad's sister.
Okay.
She told me about it because she was working there for a while and she knew what went on with there because, she already had an idea of what was going on. She worked there for either a few months or maybe a year or so.
Can you do me a favor? That actually sounds really interesting. Could you send a link to whatever this place is? I'm sure they have like a website or a social media or something.
Oh, they got a website.
Yeah, just send it to me through Discord. I'd really like to take a look at it and see what it is that they do, and maybe see if there's other places like that around the U.S. or in Canada that we could maybe recommend to other people in the future, because that sounds really cool. All right. Anyways, hopefully, the stuff that we provide you with is something that you can, think about over the next couple of days, and make sure, like, if you manage to get a hold of your friend or talk to somebody on Discord, come back on the show. Send us an email. Let us know how things are going. We always need more positivity around here, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks so much for coming on. You've been a great guest. All right. Let's see. Oh, it's already 8 o'clock. We got to end this. And I actually got to go. Shoot, but we have Diamond Clone. Here.
Maybe Diamond Clone can start off next week.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me unmute Diamond Clone. Diamond Clone, I'm really sorry to do this to you, dude. But we've reached the end of the hour, even though we tried to keep things compact. Is it okay if we bring you on next week?
Let me check, because I work and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
as long as I can stick around and talk to some people in this group chat, that'd be wonderful. But
totally, dude. Totally. I was just gonna say, like, if you can't make it next week, feel free to send us an email, and I'll make sure I bump you up to the front of the list. Okay.
All right. Quick question. Quick suggestion, honestly, for your Discord server.
Yes, sir.
Add a little role for people. Have people volunteer that want to talk to people and stuff like that. So people who want to talk to people and stuff like that can talk to people.
Yes, I think you have. It was either you or somebody else has recommended something like a listener function where people will have that role, and then if somebody needs somebody to talk to, they can go to those people.
I think that'd be very beneficial for your server.
Sounds like a great idea.
I agree, and it will be implemented very, very soon, dude. Okay, I just need to find some people that are willing to do that. But yeah, it will happen.
Yeah, I'm willing to do it.
You are? Okay, you're the man, dude. You are the man. Thank you so much.
Anybody else here that can hear or whatever, just look up Diamond Clone on the thing and then just talk to me. As of right now, it's unofficial, but
Okay, yeah.
And we'll do that.
And also, now that you bring that up, anybody that's listening right now that's in the Discord server and would be willing to do that, send me a private message, okay? So that way, once I have like 4 or 5 people, I can make the actual roles and roll it out, so that way, if it were just 1 or 2 people, they would get overwhelmed, right? But if I have a decent amount of people, I can make sure that happens a whole lot faster. And yeah,
5 to 10 people, and I'm usually available. I have a kind of stagnant sense of humor. I'm sarcastic. I'll try to tone down the sarcasm, but no guarantees.
Okay. All right. No. Thanks so much for reminding me of that, dude. I'm already getting private messages from people. Awesome. So I'll talk to you next week, hopefully, Diamond.
Yep. And I want to thank you for talking to me every so often on Steam.
Hey, dude. We still got to play Battlefront.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
I have it downloaded, so hopefully
whenever.
I can't do it this week, but next week message me and we'll play Battlefront. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right, awesome. I'm going to meet you now so we finish the show. Anyways, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Before we go, hey, you listening, right? You know what I'm about to ask you. There are 57 of you watching, but only 42 likes. Fix that. I'm not going to say any more. Just do it. With that out of the way, let me just do the usual, reminding you about the mailbag and crap. If you have any questions that you want to send us at any time, make sure you use the email on screen right now. It doesn't have to be in conjunction with the topic that we're talking about. It can be whatever's on your mind. Just send in your email. We'd love to hear from you to maxderrat@yahoo.ca. And finally, was there something else I wanted to recommend to people? I don't think so. Just like the Facebook, join the Discord, yada, yada, yada. John, I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. Like, I know I still got to thank you, but can you think of anything?
Wait, no, I can't, but you can thank me twice if you like.
Okay, I'll thank you in French. Merci d'avoir fait cette show avec moi. I gotta practice my French. I'm sorry.
De nada.
De nada. Yeah, thanks so much, John. As always, you're an enormous help. And thanks to everybody that tuned in for the live show. Oh, before we go, Skyward iProfit sends in $2 saying, that's right, hit that like button. You listen to him. He's a Skyward iProfit. I don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Until next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, remember, stay yellow.